Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Press X the podcast. It's the podcast from your friends at cogconnected.com on the internet, the interweb. My name's Paul. I'm your host. Alongside me today, as usual, as always, it's the boys, it's the fellas. It's Rhett and James.
Yeah.
Hey.
And James, your microphone dancing effect is so distracting anytime I talk.
It's nice.
It's just, it's pointless and silly and is probably taking up a tiny bit more processing power on my already beleaguered laptop. So I thought, yes, absolutely, this is the time to turn it on.
I particularly like that the waveform has nothing to do with the tone of my voice.
No.
It appears completely random. And that's good.
Yeah, it's not like doing peaks and valleys based on the actual sound of you. It's just like person is talking and then not. But not me though, just you guys.
Yeah, I think it knows how loud we're being. Vaguely.
Ah, yes. There you go.
Yeah. How are you guys? How you been? It's been a while since we've been in these chairs around this digital desk.
Yeah. I've been all right. Yourself?
Yeah. I can't complain too much.
Yeah.
Everything's pretty good. James and I were talking just before this about second jabs. I got a second.
Yeah,
jab.
we're in the double dose club.
Nice.
Yeah, what a time to be alive. You know?
Oh yeah. When did you get your second?
2 hours ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was last week. But really looking forward to the prospect of going somewhere at some point. I think that's going to be good.
Yeah.
Well worth the effort and the wait. But in the meantime, video games.
Video games.
Who likes them? Who loves them?
I'm surprisingly into them this week.
Yeah. Who hates
Shockingly so.
Wow, just this week? James, what a turnaround from your week after week streak.
But just not just for this week, but this week for this particular game. I am surprisingly into it.
Well, maybe we should just get right into that because
okay.
I think I know what you're talking about, and I'm a little upset by the thought that you might be turning the tides on this one.
Well, okay, here's the deal. I played Skyward Sword HD for the Nintendo Switch. And it makes the game better.
Okay.
Specifically, the fact that you no longer have to use motion controls. It's like suddenly having prescription glasses for the first time, and you can see where you're looking and details resolve around you, and you're not constantly distracted by this painful, aggravating bullshit. You can just kind of like go about your day. Suddenly, like sword fights and traversal and like mini games and all this shit is actually very manageable and perfectly fun, and not like an exhausting, hellish slog from which there is no escape.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. For example, the Skyward Sword has maybe the best soundtrack in the entire Zelda series, which is not something I've really paid attention to until this time around.
Really?
But the main theme is an absolute fucking banger. It worms its way into my brain. They have like the Ballad of the Goddess and its variations it's literally Zelda's Lullaby in reverse.
Really?
Yeah. Da-na-na, da-da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na. You know that song? Yeah. They reverse the notes and then it's the Ballad of the Goddess and it works on me so well every time. It's so good. I love that fucking song. Every song in the soundtrack is pure fire. So it's something I just, wow, I didn't have time to pay attention to this because it sucks so bad the last time I played this. Same with the the story is okay. Like they try stuff, you know, they try to add emotional weight to the experience where they're like, hey, what if we actually spent a little time on Link and Zelda kind of having childish feelings for each other? Wouldn't that be cool? If they like had a relationship or like the bare skeleton of one, and like it is cool. It's cool that they like make fumbling attempts to like turn these characters into characters instead of just like fucking archetypes, you know? And like I don't know, it's nice. It's nice having a game with like a story that like they work on. And the other thing that they fixed was that Fee is mostly in the background now.
Oh, that's
like
good.
The only time she pipes up is when it's like a story related thing. And she's like, Master, there's an 80% chance that the only door in this room is the one you have to go through. Most of that shit is just like tucked away in like a button press. If you need advice or help or you're stuck, you just hit down. And then she's like, yo, what up? And then she tells you whatever you need to know. Otherwise, she just shuts the fuck up all the time. Sometimes we hear this incredibly faint beep that's like, hey, there's a hint ready if you want it. But that is literally it. You never need it otherwise.
I don't think I'd ever, before this moment, I don't think I'd ever thought about the story of a Legend of Zelda game and the fact that they completely gloss over any character development whatsoever because everyone who's playing the game knows intrinsically that these two are somehow bound by destiny.
Yeah. Like they put in like this skeleton of a story in most games, but now what in Skyward Sword, there's a little meat on that skeleton, couple of tendons, some stringy little muscle tissue. It's not a person yet, never will be, not that kind of game, but you know, baby steps, they move in that direction. Counterpoint. The level design. Still centered around the motion controls. So instead of it like you waggling the Wiimote, you're just moving the right analog stick, which is still kind of stupid, but it's precise. You make the move you mean to make every time.
Yeah, I remember we talked about that maybe in the Zelda episode. It was quite a while ago anyway, but we were talking about not being convinced that button controls would actually fix this game or make it better.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's at least a marginal improvement.
Yeah, the flaws, the many little flaws of this game aren't magnified so much because the gigantic flaw isn't staring you in the face.
Yeah.
Like once you take away the fucking motion controls, then the game is allowed to have, you know, flaws and problems and stuff that aren't like cutting the legs off the fucking thing because it's just a design decision that will, you know, divide people, but it's not like not a third rail, you know? But I recognize that there's a lot of people who are under that imaginary age line who fuck with motion controls. And I mean, all the power to those people. I assume they're better in this version, but I'm one of the like millions of people who's got Joy-Con drift, and I fixed this problem by never using Joy-Con. So I don't know. They're probably better, but also I found this thing because I did try the motion controls.
Of course.
Where like if you use the right one for like all your items, like the goofy sand blowy thing and the slingshot and shit, and because those items are tied to the right Joy-Con, whenever your hand moves or drifts or twitches or anything, the object you're controlling does the same thing. So you have to hold it perfectly still in neutral and then kind of move to aim it from that point. So if you have like the shaky hands, like old James here, it's an absolute no-go. Which is probably, upon reflection, part of why I hate motion controls and part of what, you know, why I'm not a photographer, because I got the yeah.
A bit of a bob and weave, just naturally.
Bit of a bob and weave. Yeah. And
the old Ray Charles hands.
yeah. So
tickling the ivories constantly.
Yeah,
Right.
against my will. So yeah, the level design is still kind of uneven, and it's still tied to a system that it really shouldn't have been tied to. But like, there's a lot of little things you can appreciate more when you're not like constantly stressed out and like flailing as hard as you can just to survive a fucking battle. Man, some of the boss fights that I had so much trouble with back in the day are just like whatever, boop boop boop, boop boop boop, bop. That's it. Couple enemies that are like annoying, like the fucking the plants, the piranha plant ones, whose mouths open in a direction where you have to slash it in the right direction.
Yeah.
Cannot get the rhythm of those fucking things, and they're not a difficult enemy. They're just weak and they're everywhere. But like I'm just like, and then I just sort of brute force my way into it. I just can't get the hang of them. You know, oh, neither here nor there. But yeah, it's shocking improvement. It's like a fucking new game when you put the button controls in. It's wild.
This is all fascinating because Breath of the Wild is such a departure from the design of Skyward Sword. It's a completely new thing. It has no character development whatsoever. It is all based on the open world. So part of me is wondering, did Nintendo, thinking they had made, they'd made Skyward Sword, they thought, okay, we put some effort into the story, we did some different stuff here, and everybody fucking hates it. So let's go completely away from that. When in fact, the good stuff that they did do, or the improvements that they did make to things like the story, were just completely obscured by bad motion controls and some shoddy design.
To be fair, the way that they'd been doing Zelda games every time for every game between Skyward Sword and more or less A Link to the Past, that still needed a change. We still needed to fix that.
Yeah.
Probably they were under the impression that like, oh, we need to do something different because we've been running this same formula for 2 decades and it's, it's kind of run its course. I think that internally at Nintendo, they figured the motion controls were a gigantic fucking success because a lot of people love them. If you were under a certain age, they were great. They were perfect. There's no problems with them. It's something, it's reliable. If I talk to somebody who's like, let's say like 6 to 10 years younger than I am or more, and they took to them like a duck to water. They had no problems.
I mean, I don't really have a problem with motion controls, but in general. So if I'm playing something like Splatoon's better with motion controls.
Yeah.
But Skyward Sword, it is those controls that make it hard, part of what makes it hard to get into. But, and I don't know, if the HD version gets rid of a lot of that nonsense and you were able to get more into the game and appreciate the things that are great about it, that's, I don't know, proof that the design was flawed to begin with.
Just that they had a decent game on their hands.
Yeah.
That they hobbled with the motion controls. Then
Womp,
they were like,
womp.
yeah, so thanks so much. Please never do that again. Just keep experimenting and doing wacky shit. We'll come back for it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a success. A success where I assumed there would be failure. And that's a good thing. Another place that I would argue I assumed there would be failure, but there in fact has been success, is with Aliens, Fireteam Elite.
Oh.
Which I have been playing for the last couple of days. And it's pretty damn good.
About that. Yeah.
It's pretty good. When the trailers came out for this game, it's like, really? You're going down that path? Like this seems like it's just horde mode with an alien skin on top of it. But it really leans heavily into that whole Ridley Scott Aliens, James Cameron aesthetic. with the tracker and the way that ships look and the way that guns and characters and armor look, and the sound design is very Alien. And I don't know, it makes missions that are not that exciting and are pretty much point to point to point, go through the motions kind of missions way more fun. Like, I could spend all day just ripping a machine gun with a Marine because it's the sound from Aliens. And it's so good.
Nice.
And so if people haven't really heard about this game, it's kind of a class-based, multiplayer, objective-focused sort of thing. A little bit like, it seems like Ubi's pitching Rainbow Six Extraction to be like. Kind of along those lines. Just with xenomorphs. And xenomorphs of various types and varieties. Even in the first couple of levels, there's a whole bunch of variety into how these things attack and come at you. And it's very tactically based. There's a lot of team communication that has to be going on because, unlike, say, the enemies in Gears of War who come out of the holes in the ground, aliens come from everywhere. They're coming through doors. They're coming through ducts. They're coming out of the roof. They're coming through the floor. They're everywhere. So you really have to communicate and say what the threat is, where it is, point it out, and decide who's going to do what constantly. And from there, it becomes kind of a sort of resource management game in a way where you got limited ammunition in this particular scenario. How are we going to get through this? And each of the four classes has different weapons, different options. There's a medic class, there's the general soldier class, there's more of a heavy class, and they're all pretty fun to play. Seems like, anyways. We'll see if this thing has legs when the full version comes out. But from the preview build, I haven't gotten tired of it. It's a good time just slaying some xenomorphs with even randoms on the internet. It's pretty good.
Nice.
Having a really nice time with it. So well done, Cold Iron Studios. What about you, Rhett? What you been up to?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I don't know how that is.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk Judgment.
Mm.
And now everybody deserves a little.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I had never heard of this series until the trailer for Lost Judgments came to the PlayStation Store a few months ago. And it looks awesome. It's kind of got like this John Woo kind of Departed sort of feel. Cop story, murder, mystery. Lost Judgment, the sequel to the original, is coming out, I think, in September. So I've been playing the original because it just got a PS5 upgrade, and it's fucking awesome. It looks so good. All the ray tracing and everything. It was already a beautiful game from what I hear, but now it's incredible. And like the level of detail in the world is, you don't really see it too often in open world style games like this. Obviously the map isn't as big as something like a GTA, but the level of detail is crazy. Like going into a convenience store and just seeing every little product on the shelves, everything just immaculately designed. Going into casinos or bars or et cetera, and there's just so many like interiors and places to explore, and I've really been impressed with the world building of this game.
You played any of the Yakuza games, Rhett?
Yeah, I played, I think, 0.
Because this is pretty much it's like a Yakuza spin-off, right?
Little spin-off, yeah, exactly.
From the
set in the same world,
yeah.
But and like I feel that this sort of story is a lot more my speed. I think that's why I'm into it more so than the Yakuza games. The combat's a little bit better too, no doubt. I think the combat has a bit more of a Sleeping Dogs feel to it than whereas I think the Yakuza games, they feel a bit more like, I don't know, what's a good example? Like maybe Tekken, a bit more like Tekken,
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So this one just seems much more my speed. It feels much more my speed, and really looking forward to that sequel.
Does this game kind of maintain that silliness that the Yakuza games have?
I mean, I'm not too far in, but definitely it does. Just watching the trailer for the second game and seeing your guy like skateboarding through the streets and doing like kick flips and grinding while he's chasing down a dude, and karaoke and just all kinds of funny shit like that. Yeah, they definitely still inject a lot of humor into them.
Nice. So I think that kind of irreverent tone of the Yakuza games is what makes them special. You know, something like Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is the turn-based one that came out last year or the year before. It takes itself so seriously at times with the main story. And then every time you're in combat, it is completely and utterly bonkers. Every move that you can do is totally insane and makes no sense. And it's perfect because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, like speaking of moves, there are some vicious knockout animations that they've got. That's one thing I really like about these games is that the system that they have for like finishing moves and like EX moves essentially are it's not like deep mechanically, but it's deep as far as what you can do in all the different sorts of situations. Like if you have a can of soda in your hand and a dude is laying down, it's going to be different than if a dude is just sitting up and you have a can of soda in your hand. You know what I mean? And then like if a dude is kneeling, and like there are so many items to pick up, so many different ways or so many different moves to unlock and everything. Like, man, there's just a lot to go through. It's easy to pick up, but like difficult to master, I guess I should say.
So like if you want to look like the ultimate cool guy, it's going to take you a bit.
It'll take you a bit, but well worth it when you're bouncing off the fucking walls, grabbing a bicycle in the middle of a backflip and slamming it down onto a dude, basically breaking him in half. You're going to want to learn to do that. You're going to want to put the time in.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't played this one. You said it's on PS5, right?
Or there's PS5 just got an update. It's usually on sale. I got it on Amazon for like $40. And yeah, again, the sequel is coming in September. So
the sequel was absolutely the highlight of that state of play that they had a couple weeks ago.
Right? The trailer was so good.
Really good. And it just came out of the blue. You gotta love games like that where I had no idea. I guess I should have known this would be in the works, but I didn't.
I really like how like these games that are made by Sega, when you're playing them, you feel like you're playing in an arcade on a machine,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Their menus have that sort of like snappy ching ching sound, you know, and everything is just like very pachinko-esque, you know? It's all very like flashy and in your face and quick rewards, you know, quick turnover time for getting rewards and things like that. Like you always seem to be moving forward. I don't know. I like how these games have that like distinct Japanese feel to them.
Yeah, no doubt. Sega games are a very unique animal.
Yeah. Nothing quite like them.
I mean, there's a lot of different styles of them, but they all kind of have this weird sort of central feel to them. Even something like Virtua Fighter has that same kind of feel that you're talking about, Rhett, with the snappy menus and the quick rewards, but the very, I don't know, sort of weighty feel of action. You know, it's kind of light and floaty, but also very weighty. Yeah, it's difficult to describe how they somehow capture that in so many different genres.
Yeah. That's exactly how I would describe this combat in Judgment.
Yeah, interesting.
It's got a nice weight to it, but it's not like you're like, you know, each shot is landing with like a huge crunch. Like Sleeping Dogs is a good example. I thought that combat was fantastic. Each punch would land with like a satisfying, sound effect, a satisfying thud. And you could like transition from guy to guy, move to move, and kind of do a huge combat scene, all sort of in one combination. With this, like, you definitely can, you can link stuff together and whatnot, but it's not quite as like action movie-ish, as Sleeping Dogs was.
Criminal that Sleeping Dogs didn't get a sequel. Just
Dude,
criminal.
I'm still like, every time people ask what my number one sequel would be, what game I want, I don't even say Metal Gear. I want Sleeping Dogs 2. It was so good.
But I mean, you wouldn't say no to a Metal Gear sequel.
No, you don't say no to that.
We didn't put this in the news, but did anyone else see that rumor that for his next game, Kojima has cut a deal with Microsoft for unique IP?
Yeah. I guess I got to get an Xbox.
There's like no backing to that whatsoever, no evidence at all. I think it's a very interesting rumor.
Definitely. I appreciate that people are passionate about it, but Hideo Kojima's been putting games out on the Xbox for decades, y'all. People are like actually angry. Like, you've betrayed us. Guys, it's okay.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I don't know. I keep going over the scenarios in my head where I'd be like, what would make me get an Xbox? And I think at this point, somebody would have to fucking give it to me. They'd be like, here, James, I've come to your doorstep and delivered you an Xbox Series whatever. It's yours. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll accept. That is the only... Like, I don't even need room in my fucking schedule for yet another console. I can't do it. I have a VR headset that I never touch because I just don't have the time.
I like that your answer wouldn't even be yes. It's I guess.
It'd be like, do you want this Xbox Series X? And I'd be like, okay.
All right.
I'd make the little noise first. I'd be like, all right.
I'll take the hit. Anything else you've been playing there, Rhett?
Just a little Gran Turismo.
Ooh.
Lots of that. I've been so addicted to it, I think I'm going to get a wheel and a cockpit and take it seriously.
Wow.
Yeah.
In prep for the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Because 7 looks almost too nice. And they haven't even really released any footage, but the bit that they have released, yeah, that also looks pretty good. Waiting on that one.
A little disappointing to not have heard more about that.
Dude,
a lot of those games that they showed off early, said it's coming, and it's coming in the first half of 2021, just have dried up. I'm not even at this point too sure what Sony has in the back half of the year outside of Horizon.
Yeah.
Which is pretty good. This is going to be pretty damn good, but...
Good point. But it is a bit troubling that there is so little information on Gran Turismo 7. There's one trailer, fucking nothing. Nothing else.
I kind of wonder if they've just been holding off, thinking, okay, well, Microsoft, they're probably about ready to show off that Forza game in depth, and if and when they do, we believe our game is better, we're going to show off why it's better. That'll be our counterpunch strategy.
Well, now's the time, because we have seen Forza, and it looks fucking good.
I mean,
Sony...
we've seen Forza Horizon.
Sure.
But that's not really what Gran Turismo is going after.
Right. Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
But yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
That's the one Gran Turismo game I think that I didn't really play.
It's really, really good. I'm super addicted. The driving is just fantastic, as you would expect. It maybe looks a little bit aged now. I think it came out in like 2016 or 17. But it still looks great and it runs great. And yeah, I love the like sport online mode that they created where they essentially have like championship level races, you could call them, every like 10 minutes.
Oh
And
wow.
depending on which car class you want to, which race you want to join, you can sign up for them. And it's I was playing it and I was thinking that it's cool how they've set that up so everybody is as close to like professional racing as I've seen in any other sort of game that has like professional play. Like what I mean is like Call of Duty, for example. You sign into Call of Duty and there's not really a way for you to go and play professional COD. Like you need to be on a team. You need to know where to go, who to play with, et cetera, et cetera. With Gran Turismo Sport, it's cool. If you play throughout the season and you compete and if you qualify and you do well, then you're essentially going to be entered into like the World Series Championships and so on and so forth. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool if you like competitive gaming. Sport is doing something that I haven't really seen in any other console game, at least.
What's the community like? Is it pretty easy to get a game? Pretty easy to match up?
Super easy. Yeah, you'll like every race will fill up, no problem. As far as etiquette, it's funny. Before you can actually start playing, you have to watch a couple videos that they've created on racing etiquette, and I highly recommend them because that is the one thing with the community. Of course, like guys are so quick to fucking not jump on their braking lines. They'll think that they can. I don't need a brake. I'm just going to slam into this guy and use him as my brake. And so you do see a lot of that.
Yeah.
Especially, where I'm at, just getting started, trying to be a clean racer in these like E rank races, pretty tough because these guys down here are savages and they don't give a fuck. Yeah, so
I understand that too, though.
Yeah,
that's maybe one of my most vivid gaming memories is like Gran Turismo 2 trying to get those fucking licenses, and the high-end licenses was goddamn impossible for a child.
Yeah. So good though. Fond memories of number 2 as well.
Fond memories of pain and suffering. Trying to do, those endurance races, some of those 50 lappers or 100 lappers.
Oh, gross.
You just have a couple of buddies over and you'd switch off every few laps, like pause it up and be like, oh fuck, you drive for a bit. I'm tired.
Yep.
It's awful.
Yeah. I just did a 40-minute race before we started, and that one started to feel a little bit much by the end of it.
Yeah. Yep. Without the adrenaline of actually being in a vehicle, those longer drives can be quite a bit.
And that's where it comes back to me getting the cockpit and wheel. I've looked into it. It won't cost me any more than $800.
Oh, a gentleman's 800. That's not bad.
just a little gentleman's 800. Yeah.
So the cockpit, where do you go from there? You get the cockpit, you get the wheel, you got you got your 3 pedal set up on the floor.
Yeah, plus stick shift.
Plus a stick. Okay.
Yeah.
What's next? Hydraulics?
Well, I mean, not when you're in an apartment living above people, That's something you want to figure out. Yeah, tough to say where to go from there. Who knows? Either something like hydraulics or everything goes into the fucking closet and doesn't get used until I'm ready to sell it in 4 years.
One of my most motion sick moments of all time was at an E3 when someone was demoing a WRC game for me, in VR
Oh
in a cockpit.
no!
Whew.
And one of those hydraulic cockpits where it leans you back and
Oh.
side to side as you're playing. And I came out of that so dizzy. Like I almost
Oh.
literally fell over. It's this
Out of-
poor PR person who'd clearly been experiencing this with people all day. Like, yeah,
all day.
you
Yeah.
feel a little woozy after that. Oh, cool.
Out of
Yeah, game looks
everything I've played in VR, Skyrim, everything, man. This is all kinds of different genres. Nothing has made me more ill than playing racing games in VR.
Mm-hmm.
Within 20, 30 seconds, like I'll play something, I can't even finish a lap. Within 20,
Jesus.
30 seconds, I'm like, man, I'm ready to puke.
It's brutal. Because
Yeah.
your instinct, as soon as everything's kind of wrapping around you, you want to turn your head quite a bit because you want to see what's going on around you. And it's so disorienting.
Yeah.
Anyways, maybe they'll resolve that. Maybe the next PSVR will resolve that.
Ooh.
The haptic. Maybe the haptic will fix it for it. Maybe not.
It's a start. I know one of the tricks is if you feel like you get a lot of motion sickness, if you do get a lot of motion sickness when you're playing these games, put a fan on and blow it on you as you're playing them.
Feel the wind in your hair?
Well, that's yes, but apparently like activating like another sense helps not make you so nauseous. I don't know the science behind it, but I've tried it and it actually does work.
Okay.
I believe you.
Yeah.
I could buy that. I have absolutely no segue for this, but the other game that I've been playing is from the vault and something that I've played very extensively in the past. Celeste.
Oh, yeah.
Just phenomenal.
Getting them
platformer.
strawberries.
Just phenomenal. I've been cutting back into this one to do more of the B-side levels. So Celeste is it's a linear story with a bunch of different levels, and along the way you can pick up collectibles. You can collect strawberries for certain reasons, and you can also pick up these little B-side tapes. And once you get a B-side tape, you can go back into this, set of levels with some harder stuff to do. And the main game itself it can be pretty challenging. Up right at the very end, it's pretty challenging. You'll definitely die quite a bit. But man, the B-side levels are stinking hard and very challenging, especially on a Switch, which is what I had completed the game on, and thus what I'm doing the B-sides on. Can't do it with a Joy-Con. Absolutely not. I definitely need a Pro Controller, but fuck, it's a good game. It's so precise and just a banging soundtrack that I will never get tired of. Celeste is well worth the cash, even at full price, which I think is not that much, probably $20 or less.
No, and that shit's on sale all the time too.
Constantly.
Frequently, yes.
And on every platform under the sun as well. So no matter what you're on, you can play it. It is... Yeah, I think it's the directness of how it controls that makes you feel empowered to do better. So you could die 20 or 30 times on a single screen and not feel that bad about it, because it reloads instantaneously, and the control is such that you feel like, I can do this, I just didn't do it there. I failed. The game wasn't cheap, or it wasn't cheating. I know exactly what I need to do. I just got to execute. So it's kind of like I hate to say Souls-like in that sort of thing, but it has that feel of Dark Souls where you know that you're not being cheated by the game. It's that you're incapable in this moment.
It's a very different thing. Like I understand the
Totally.
impulse to like label it as such, but like with like Celeste and like Skeletak was the one that I played like last year or like earlier this year. I can't remember when, but like these tough as nuts 2D platformers, I find a lot more palatable because the retry is like instantaneous. It's like
Mhm.
half a second and then you're back at the beginning of the screen ready to try it again. Dark Souls, there's a lot more of a like reload time and refresh time, and there's a lot more like work and struggle to get back to that spot, and then you just fucking die again. So like in Skeletak, for example, there was like a bonus stage I probably tried like 60 times in 20 minutes. No. Well, more like 60 times in 10. But after 60 or so tries, I finished the bonus stage. Doing 60 runs of any level in Dark Souls would be like most of a day.
Yeah. It's certainly more protracted. I guess what I mean is that failure in both of those situations is not necessarily related to the design of the game.
That's right.
It wasn't that the game cheated me or it was cheap or this was a cheap shot. It's that I didn't understand the pattern in a Dark Souls game, or I boost jumped at the wrong moment in this 2D platformer. And I guess that's what I mean.
Yeah, personally, I really like the tough 2D platformers a lot better than like 3D battlers because the turnaround time is a lot tighter and I just learn better that way. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if something like Metroid Dread takes inspiration from that trend in 2D platformers to be quite tough. See if they bake that into the formula or if this is really just going to be Super Metroid 2.
The second one.
Yeah, I'm okay with both. Either way.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to play the shit out of it. It looks really good.
Yeah, no, I am right there, baby.
It's going to be our next edition of Paul and James engage in fisticuffs to decide who needs to review this thing.
Nice.
Yeah,
that one.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I think Final Fantasy VII was the last one of those.
Yeah.
It's a good time. Anyway, what's going on in the news out there, guys?
Well, 2 different portable consoles were announced, neither one of which anybody fucking asked for. Like, they're so unnecessary.
Nobody seems to care about either of them, really, either.
No. Fuck no.
So for those who don't know, what we're talking about is the Nintendo Switch OLED edition, which is just a regular Nintendo Switch with a slightly larger and now OLED-powered screen. And the Steam Deck?
Yes.
So it's just called the Deck, I guess, since Steam is a brand. Yeah. Kind of looks like what maybe a Switch Pro would be if they made one.
Apparently, there's a lot of really popular games that don't play on the Steam Deck because I don't know. Apparently, something about the anti-cheat software doesn't play nice with the console.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Bears investigating. I'm very much second to third hand information based on a headline I very quickly saw or like a tweet that passed by my timeline very quickly. But I know there's a few big money games that just don't run on it. That's another one where I was like, if you plopped one in my hands, I'd be like, sure, I'll take this fucking thing, but otherwise, why, man? I have a Steam Deck. It's a desktop. It does everything I need it to.
Yeah. I know people want to take their PC on the go. They want to play their PC games. But here's the thing about the Steam Deck. It's not really that powerful. Just checking out the specs. It is mildly less powerful than a PS4, like a regular PS4.
Okay, that's not great.
So, you're not going to be playing your AAAs on this baby. Not with everything turned on, that's for sure. The screen resolution is only like 800p, so a little bit more than the Switch. but still, the Switch does, and so this is more powerful, but it's not that much more powerful. So is this really just maybe a very expensive emulation machine? You install a pretty sick SNES emulator on this thing and probably be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a funny feeling that it's going to be good for old games, indie games, and pirated games, and literally nothing else. In fact, my impression is that once this thing releases in the wild, there's going to be like a secondary market we didn't predict that's like, oh, this is perfect for our needs. We'll take 30,000 of them. Thank you.
Interesting. Yeah, it could be.
Because, like, I bet it's either running just like a modified version of Windows or like a Steam OS or something. I bet it's like embarrassingly hackable. You know what I mean? Like, I bet you could just like get in there and like run whatever the fuck you want. Like,
oh, they've already said you can install whatever operating system you want on this thing. Oh, Rhett's gone. Is he back?
Yeah, my computer's melting.
Woo!
Oh, well, speaking of fans, I've done that before on my old laptop when I was playing WoW. I like took like a big black serious business fan and pointed it directly at the hottest part of my laptop so I could run WoW like 100 years ago. Just so it didn't like literally melt.
I remember the days of seeing those suggestions online where it's like, yeah, just, if your computer is running too hot, you can't run this game. This game's too tough. So, like strap an ice pack to the back of it. Just strap an ice pack near to your computer and like, no, don't do that.
Yeah. Or do a different thing.
Maybe anything but that. How about that?
Yeah.
Let's just say anything but that.
Get your favorite beach towel and wrap your Xbox 360 in it to fix the red rings. What the hell was that?
Yeah, that sounds like some Facebook mom level home remedy shit. That's what that sounds like.
Go on YouTube and look at the videos of the people fixing their Xboxes by wrapping them in a towel and then running them for like hours.
So here's the thing about that. The early Xbox 360s had problems with the soldering on either the CPU or the GPU. And the towel trick worked because it got the console so hot inside that it melted the solder slightly and it stopped the short that causes the red ring from happening.
That's fucking madness.
Right?
Yes.
What a rushed piece of shit the Xbox 360 was.
Truly.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Truly. In all of its glory with its 20 gigabyte hard drive.
One of the greatest consoles of all time. No doubt.
Yeah. No, for sure.
Total piece of shit.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's totally fine. I will happily say that I slept outside of a Best Buy to get one and play Project Gotham Racing 4 or 3. And it was well
Call
worth
of
the
Duty
effort.
2? Oh man, that shit was so good.
Perfect Dark Zero. What a launch game that was. Loved it. Anyways, what were we talking about? The Steam Deck?
Garbage ass portable gaming systems that nobody fucking asked for. Oh, and the Switch OLED has a fucking slightly larger internal storage. So instead of 32, I think it's 64, which is still, heads up, not nearly enough for anybody who's gotten like 5 Switch games on sale, Or somebody like myself who gets them for review and is like got them tumbling out of his fucking shorts pockets. It's like, I can't keep all that shit on my system at once. I can't even, not even close. Not even close.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Especially when you can head down to your local electronics retailer and pick up like a 64 gigabyte SD card for like $9.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
chump
no
change.
excuse, Nintendo, except greed.
They got to keep selling them little Nintendo SD cards that they've got the mushroom and the star on. They mark those things up. It was like $100 for a fucking 60 gig. Man,
I
ridiculous.
won't lie, I want one.
Yeah. No, they
Yeah.
are actually pretty cool. Fuckers.
But anyways, maybe the Steam Deck is actually the Nintendo Switch Pro that we've all been dreaming of. Because, like they have said, you can install whatever you want on this thing. So you can really just install that Switch emulator on this thing and have a more powerful Switch.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah, I think what they've released, Valve, is a pirate console, like the ultimate portable pirate box.
Yar, matey.
I haven't seen the guts. I don't know what it's all about, but like, probably, realistically, probably.
Yeah. Did they say if it will have HDMI pass-through?
I don't
think
even
it's
think
got-
it has an output, does it?
Strictly, right? Is it strictly handheld or? Because I mean, if you could plug this thing into a monitor to your TV, then fuck, it really will kill the Switch. I mean, you know, for people that want that Switch Pro, why wouldn't you get this?
Because it doesn't play the Switch games. Well, I mean, not officially.
Well, yeah, right. Wink.
Well, we would never condone piracy here, but you know,
Hell
if
no.
you know where to look, you can get pretty much anything anywhere. We all know that.
For sure.
Okay, you can plug it into a monitor
Okay.
Nice.
or a TV. You can install all sorts of shit. You can use it to watch streaming video. You can install other game stores on it.
Man. This is good shit.
So I can play my vast Epic Game Store library on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
I have forgotten my Epic password. I have no idea how to get back into my account. That is how long it has been.
I will tell you right now, you're not missing anything.
I think I have like that really good city builder one.
Oh yeah. Skylines.
Skylines. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Great game.
Yeah.
I think that might be the only thing on there that I'm like, oh, I could get back into that. That'd be good.
But City Skylines is a Paradox game, and it therefore suffers from the same thing that all Paradox games do, which is to truly enjoy the game, you need 40 to 50 DLC packs, each of which are like $7. That's a
Good fuck.
complete exaggeration on numbers and prices, but they do really add up, especially for something like Cities that's been out for 5+ years, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be a real fuckfest.
But if you want to build a city, like, I mean, go ahead. It's just going to point out very obviously when you can't design the park of your dreams and you can't make it snow and you can't cause a natural disaster unless you buy the DLC,
For sure.
Yeah.
which, you know.
You know what I could do with the Steam Deck is I could play all those old Sega games that I keep buying for some fucking reason. And then I could have those portable. So what I would do is I'd be creating a Game Gear. I'd have a Game Gear. That would be my thing that I'd be buying for $500. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what is Canadian prices are all wackadoo.
Well, it doesn't really matter at this point anyway, because I saw someone who had pre-ordered yesterday or the day before, and their estimated delivery date was late 2022.
Did they get the largest version? Because that was a problem I heard about.
Yeah. But anyway.
But the nice thing is that the specs are the same for all three models. It's just more
that's
storage
good.
space.
Oh yeah, so that's was my question. It's just different storage spaces. There's not different sizes to them or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But then again, if it if it holds to being like a Steam product, like a Valve product, if we wait 18 months, something like that, they'll be blowing these babies out for literally $1. And that's the time to get one. Just like the Steam controller and the Steam Link. $1 each. Thank you very much. Very happy with my purchase.
Will happily hang back a minute and get and buy a Steam Deck for a fistful of change that I find in my pocket.
$1 Switch Pros. It's gonna happen.
It's easy.
Yeah.
As sure as Google is about to kill whatever their latest platform launch is, it will happen.
Yeah, whatever Google tries to do that isn't data harvest supreme will inevitably fail.
Yeah, is Stadia still alive?
Technically, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Games are coming out for it. Well,
Really?
when I do the list for like the upcoming ones for the following month, I do see games that are scheduled to release for the Stadia. Sometimes as many as 2 of them per month.
Have we ever had
Ooh.
anybody request something for Stadia?
Not to me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we have a single writer that has a Stadia. And that, I mean, that's saying something. These are 30 to 40 people who really love video games, and not a single person has a Stadia. I don't know. It's saying something.
Man,
It is.
I mean, like I said, like I legitimately didn't even know if it was still on the market.
Yeah. I stopped getting press releases a long time ago about it.
Yeah.
For a while,
Wow.
they were pretty hot and heavy.
Yeah.
I think Phil Harrison has probably moved on to his next product to destroy gig. I swear that guy is the harbinger of doom.
You know, is doing an ill-advised venture into video games? Fucking Netflix.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know what that means, and I'm so curious.
Nobody does.
Man, they've started up a game studio. I guess we're gonna be streaming games.
Yeah, they're basically, my understanding, or my guess rather, I don't know shit, nobody does. My guess is that they're trying to compete with Microsoft's xCloud service, and they might be able to do that because they're a streaming giant with an unbelievable market share, and especially if they're just like, here, it's in your Netflix menu, scroll down past sci-fi, comedy, and anime, and there's games, and you just click on the games, and you just play the games with what the fuck ever. You know, even if it's like, you have to order a controller.
I was gonna
That,
say
like-
they better figure it out and let us use our PlayStation, Xbox controllers, whatever. Because A, whatever they come up with is gonna be garbage. B, nobody's gonna want to fucking order it, get it sent in, da da da. It's already gonna be expensive enough. I'm sure the fucking monthly subscription once they get these going is gonna double at least. It seems to already be going up a few bucks every time I open my email. There's Netflix, ready to squeeze another $1 or $2 out of me.
Yeah, because they're preparing to offer expanded services like their fucking game streaming thing.
Yeah, but then everything is leaving Netflix as well. It seems like every time I go back, another show, The Office is leaving, Arrested Development's leaving, this, that.
Yeah, here's a fun little thing. Here's a fun little factoid that's not a factoid, but an opinion recycled from somebody else. Shows leaving Netflix isn't really bad for Netflix's bottom line, because when a show leaves Netflix, everybody stops watching it. Like, nobody watches The fucking Office anymore because it's not on Netflix. Nobody watches these shows that debut. Like, did you know that there's a whole bunch of stuff coming out on Apple TV Plus? Of course you don't, because nobody fucking watches Apple TV Plus.
I will say that the
Call
Apple
was pretty
TV
good.
Plus shows are all very good. Any of the ones that
Yes.
I've seen are very well made.
They're amazing. They're amazing. They're doomed. Nobody watches them.
Yeah, I mean
that's not
Netflix
true.
does have a great play to get into games. I mean, on the controller side, I know that the Sony platform is remarkably open. Like you can use a DualSense controller to play games on an Apple TV.
Yeah.
So I assume Netflix can make that work. And they have definitely the most robust streaming platform out of anybody out there, Microsoft included, because if your internet has a pulse, your Netflix plays in 4K.
Yeah.
Like that's just the way it works. It is always unbelievably sharp no matter what your connection is like. To a certain degree. But yeah, I'm very interested to see where that goes, if they're going to try to produce their own shit or they're just going to pull in the Ubisofts and the EAs of the world and just decimate Stadia even further.
Yeah.
Probably they're cannibalizing people from Stadia specifically. Be like, hey, we have a much larger install base and people actually use our shit, unlike every Google product. Come on over.
That's a relatively compelling argument, actually.
Yeah.
Especially if they go far enough to make sure that the Stadia controller works with Netflix games. God, that'd be a gut punch.
Oh.
Yep.
Those poor people.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Gone the way of Google Glass and Google Plus and Hangouts and
Google
people
Chat.
still buy their phones. I have a Pixel.
Good phones.
So, yeah, great phones.
Almost no one buys them.
Like me and my fiance's entire family.
Okay, so you're the market share. That's cool.
And everybody who I worked with at the restaurant I used to work at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the market share is bigger than I give it credit for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
So what's coming up for you guys? What's next? What's on the plate? What's the next piece of the puzzle? What are y'all playing?
Oh. I'll
Well,
tell you what I've been playing. Or maybe mine. Yeah, James, go ahead. I'll
in
say it.
August,
Yeah.
Skatebird is coming out. Finally.
Yep.
Nobody gives a shit about this game. I'm alone in my enthusiasm.
Yep.
I put it on the Elite Games list so I can put my name in. I want to play fucking Skatebird. It's about a skateboarding bird. I don't understand what else I need to tell you about this game.
There's
Just
so many
like,
mechanical opportunities there. It's a bird. So therefore, gliding down off of a height, things like that make perfect sense. It's a bird.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be a pretty cool skateboarding game.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to 12 Minutes. And that's coming out next month. And they got a pretty robust cast behind this thing at this point. There's some big, heavy hitter Hollywood talent. Very curious about that one.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I
Johnny
know.
Depp.
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe.
Really?
Yep. Daisy Ridley's in there. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, man, it's serious business.
Yeah, I that's one of the ones that I forget if it was at like the Xbox Series X reveal, maybe they had the trailer for this one, and it was just immediately captivating. Like, what is this game about? Where does it go?
Yeah, so right now I am playing a game called Red Dead Online because they just released an update for it that's an actual fucking update. Yes. I'm serious. Now, it's not perfect. By no means. But I'm serious. They finally released an update that is like starting to push the game in the direction they want it to go, I think. It's starting to become very much like good guys, criminals versus or bad guys, criminals versus good guy, cop kind of thing. And this last update that came out on last Tuesday, yeah, it's like the first part of that. It's like this homestead robbery kind of thing where you and the crew, it's Honestly, similar to the heists in GTA Online, where you get together with the boys, you do a couple missions like beforehand to plot things out, and then you go and you do the big mission. Yeah, it's cool. It's about fucking time. Again, there's a long way to go, but that is what I'm playing. Fuck yeah.
Here I thought we were going to get out of this show
No.
without having to talk about that fucking game.
No. It's just getting good now. We're just getting started. There's going to be a lot more to discuss in the future. A lot more to discuss.
First of all, it's not going to be a discussion. It's going to be us patiently giving you the space to expel your excess energy about Red RDO like a fucking geyser going off at the height of spring. I don't know. It's just, you're very excited about this game, and every time you talk about it, there's a curious lack of substance in all of your discussions and your rants and raves. You have all this energy, and it adds up to like, oh man, there's like another mission after 9 months. I'm like, maybe this is misdirected.
Well, we can't make them all sound as good as Skatebird. Fuck's sakes.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of work to do with Skatebird because it's Skatebird.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I hope that this Red Dead Online turns into a real something. You know, I hope it turns into the thing you want it to be, Rhett.
One day. Maybe?
We'll see. I'll give it hope when they decide to bring out a next gen patch.
Exactly.
I think that game at 60 frames would make a big difference for me in terms of playing it.
Definitely. Just like GTA, in that it didn't get better until it came out on the next gen systems, because the PS3 and the 360 just couldn't handle what they were trying to do with it. It's the same situation with this. It'll get there
someday, and someday we'll be back with another podcast, and that day will probably be about 2 weeks from now, because that's kind of the cadence we go on. You know, that's the thing. But yeah, old Ray Charles fingers over there tickling the ivories.
Lee.
Play us out, James.
Boop-a-bop-bop, sheebity-bop-bop, sheebity-bop-bop, babe! Video games!
Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. That was good. It's real nice. I like that.